The European recovery is underway, but it remains fragile. A looming question is, how serious is the risk of deflation? What we have so far is very low inflation, well below the ECB's 2% target. But even if not yet negative, the sinking trend is eye-catching. I will try to give you both sides of the argument on whether all this recent concern about deflation is or is not justified before giving you our take on it. Let us be more precise about the term deflation, as President Draghi has been. Deflation is a self-fulfilling fall in prices across a very large category of goods and across a very significant number of countries. First, are the price declines across many countries? No. Only 3 countries show price declines right now. Fewer than 12 that were showing that in 2009. Second, are the price declines across a range of goods? The answer is no. Only a fifth of the basket is declining, and even that is less than what occurred during 2009. Third, is there a, quote, self-fulfilling dynamic in the sense that expected future inflation is dragging down current inflation? Here, the answer is less obvious. If by expected future inflation we mean longer-term rates, the kind the ECB considers its mandate, then the answer is no. Expected inflation 5 to 10 years out is flat and hence could not possibly be the cause of falling current inflation. But if we consider 2 to 4 year ahead expected inflation, the medium term relevant for many spending decisions and wage negotiations, these are falling and could be pressing down on current prices. Overall, all this sounds reassuring, but, and this is a big but, ultra-low inflation can also be very problematic. Let me explain why. The first reason has to do with who has near zero or negative inflation. It is the indebted economies in Europe who can least afford a further rise in the real value of debt or the real cost of servicing it. Second, a moderate amount of inflation helps with nominal wage rigidity, allowing real wages to decline and so softening the impact on employment. This possibility disappears when inflation is low or negative. The difficulty in reducing nominal wages is well known and is illustrated in this slide. In a sample of nominal wage adjustments from Spain, as wage distribution shifts post-crisis to the left and is cushioned against the zero line. Nominal wages are sticky. With low inflation, real wages do not adjust. The third reason to worry is that anchored long-term inflation expectations can be misleading. One should not take too much comfort in the fact that long-term inflation expectations remain over 2% in the euro area. Long-term inflation expectations in Japan on the eve of 3 deflationary episodes were also reassuringly positive. But short-term inflation expectations turned out more pessimistic, feeding into spending and wage decisions. Recall, expectations 2 to 4 years out are falling in the euro area. The fourth reason has to do with the danger of waiting when inflation is low and falling. It is true that the ECB has acted fast as measured by interest rates and by the expansion in its balance sheet. But the problem is that once deflation takes hold, monetary policy has to turn increasingly aggressive.
Finally, while deflation in high-debt countries is painful for them, at least it brings the benefit of lower relative prices, which is key to their sustainability and that of the currency union. But when inflation turns low everywhere in the euro area, each unit of deflation endured by indebted countries delivers less price adjustment relative to the surplus countries.
To summarize, our bottom line is that deflation risk has to be taken seriously, even if we are still some way off outright price declines. We have to worry even about ultra-low inflation because of the negative effect it has on debtors and on employment.
And as we learned from the Japanese experience, we have to worry about the dynamics of low and falling inflation. Inflation expectations could sink and pull down current inflation. So the ECB needs to be sure that its policies are equal to the task of reversing the downward drift in inflation and forestalling a slide into deflation. It should consider further cuts in the policy rate as well as unconventional policies such as targeted LTROs and private and public asset purchases.